China is already well on the verge of becoming a cash-free society. But now, the world's second-largest economy seems determined to render its currency completely digital. Since last year, trials have been underway in cities across China for a new form of money known as CBDC.
So a CBDC is a central bank digital currency. CBDCs were designed to allow the central banks more oversight into the financial system.
现在就是多了一个付款方式嘛，而且他们不收手续费哦，我们肯定很乐意的。
But for the Chinese government, wider adoption of digital yuan means taking back control of the country's economic activities from WeChat and Alipay, two super apps that process around 95% of digital payments in China.
You can very much, looking back at the recent history of things, see CBDC and in particular ACNY in this context as a response to the dominance of WeChat Pay and Alipay.
In 2020, China abruptly blocked the initial public offering of Ant Group, the behemoth behind Alipay, at the last minute.
What has happened since that suspension of the IPO for Ant Group is that we've seen Chinese authorities effectively try to clip the wings of these companies by forcing them to be more integrated within the centrally controlled financial system and basically share their data more openly and freely with the central government authorities. What this means in practice is that effectively the People's Bank of China, China's central bank, now has a data center that basically houses all transactions that happen in the economy.
The central bank will know who's paying, how much they're paying, when they're paying, where they're paying, and then to analyze the patterns of payment.
Another major concern surrounding the digital yuan is its ability to be programmed, as is proudly outlined in its white paper.
We know enough about digital currencies and CBDCs to hypothesize that Chinese government could effectively boycott certain foreign companies or individuals, or even their own domestic companies or individuals, by blocking transactions or using or programming the ECNY to basically vanish from people's accounts in protest of certain individuals or companies or institutions.
However, China's ambitions surrounding CBDC is not limited to asserting control within its borders. In recent months, China has been launching trials and pilot programs to test the usability of digital yuan in international trade. One such project is a multiple CBDC platform known as Project Mbridge.
It is a collaboration of the People's Bank of China and the central banks of Hong Kong, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, as well as the Bank for International Settlements.
Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the West introduced unprecedented sanctions against Russia, including cutting Russia's access to the global dollar-based payment system known as SWIFT, and Beijing was quietly taking note.
So the SWIFT and financial related sanctions against Russia definitely have been a shot across the bow for the Chinese authorities because they are still reliant very much on SWIFT-based settlement for trade and for transactions. They also hold large amounts of US treasuries within their FX reserves. So China is still very much dependent on this US-based financial system.
And China has been making progress in diminishing its reliance on US dollar.
Saudi Arabia is in discussions with China to price some of its oil sales in yuan.
Last month, Argentina announced that they would start paying for imports using the Chinese yuan due to their shortage of dollars. And Brazil followed suit, announcing that it will allow companies to trade in yuan as well.
However, with US dollars still accounting for 84% of global trade compared to yuan's 4.5%, experts believe that the RMB, China's national currency, is still a long way from challenging the dollar's dominance in global trade, even with the aid of digital yuan.
So the story of China's renminbi internationalization using ECNY is complicated, and it's one that will take time to unfold. Certainly, a lot of observers and critics talk about how this could threaten dollar dominance, but looking at the technological capabilities and China's state as a closed capital account, this seems to be a pretty overblown conclusion.
That said, the bottom line is, out of the 114 countries that are actively exploring their own CBDC, China is by far the most advanced in the pack by a huge margin.
I think that the Western countries should be involved in a more multilateral framework involving the US to try to set standards for central bank digital currencies in a way that protects their own citizens from potential data surveillance or cyber espionage. which in this digital age will become increasingly problematic for governments around the world.